Throughout my personal growth and getting to know myself journey, I have learned a few things. Like, I know that I am neurodiverse. I know that I have ADHD, and I suspect that I was on the autism spectrum, as well as another friend who is and now advocates. So I took some assessments today to see where I fall, and I'm going to share those so that I have a video log of this as well. Okay, I started with the RAAD-R, which is typically what people who have subclinical symptoms or have been misdiagnosed in the past have utilized as an assessment. I've not been diagnosed, but this was a good starting point from resources that I was given. The way that the scoring works, it's a 0 to 240. If you have 65 or higher, you are likely autistic. You can read the little notes here. No neurotypical scored above 64 in the research. So this is pretty accurate. So I scored a 130, which is definitely higher than a 65 threshold. And then it gives you, some subcategories that you can break that down to. But as you can see, 130, the mean score of autistic people, strong evidence for autism. So we'll go to the next one. The next suggested one was the autism spectrum quotient, which is for anybody with an IQ of 80 or above, so just your average person who has suspected autism. And this one is actually the one that is utilized the most for taking to a professional to get an official diagnosis. Scoring on this one, 0 to 50. If you have above a 26, it indicates that you are probably autistic. I scored a 34. So if you note, 79.3% of autistic people score 32 or higher. 92.3% of autistic females scored 32 or higher. So that's pretty significant. The next was the CAT-Q. This one's an interesting one because it shows you how much you mask. A lot of people who are neurodiverse who have not ever been diagnosed have spent their lives masking, which can also make your assessment scores lower than they should be. So if you scored on this and it shows that you've been masking, then those other assessments that you took should probably be higher scores. One says it's noted for average to higher intelligence, and the scoring range is 25 to 175 with a threshold of over 100, right? So if you have 100 or over, you're suspected that you are masking your autism. I scored a 124, so that shows that I have been masking. It also, I don't want to make you dizzy with scrolling down, but it also says that that also correlates with lower quality of well-being and higher occurrence of social anxiety and depression as a result of spending your life masking to belong into society. The next one was the Aspie quiz, which tests for your neurodiversity along with other traits that you may have, what am I trying to say? See, I'm losing my words now. Other issues like ADHD, whatnot. So it tests 5 domains: talent, perception, communication, relationship, and social. This one's a little more in depth, but I'll get into it. So this one's going to test those 5 domains, as it says. And you'll get 2 scores. You get an Aspie or a neurodiverse score, and then you have a neurotypical score. And if the threshold or the difference between the two is 35 points, so if your neurodiverse or Aspie score is 35 points higher than your neurotypical, then you are neurodiverse. So it gives you this lovely chart, and you can see on the left side is neurotypical, on the right side is your Aspie or your neurodiverse, and it shows you at the top intellectual skills and people skills. So you've got your talent, perception, communication, relationship, and social. You can see that I am heavily leaning on the neurodiverse side, especially with the talent, perception, communication, relationship, and social. You can see those 2 points that I'm doing okay on the neurotypical side with the perception and relationship, but I'll dive into these a little bit. So on the Aspie talent side, I already know that I've been gifted my entire life. I've already known that I have very high IQ scores. That's not a surprise to me. So my score is an 8.9 out of a 10, which is above average for the Aspie talent. It says that it's actually related, a high score is related to Asperger's syndrome possibly, or obsessive compulsive disorder. So these are things to obviously look at and assess in life. And then it gives you the neurotypical talent. And I have a low score. I scored 2.7 out of 10, below average. And this says a low score is related to dyslexia and dyscalculia, but also other diagnoses like ADD and ADHD. Now, my younger son has dysgraphia, and I had the same symptoms as him, but never got diagnosed, so this isn't surprising at all. If I scroll to the perception side, on the Aspie, it says that I'm above average, 7.4 out of 10, so no direct diagnostic relation, but autistic people often have differences in perception. And then if I go to the neurotypical perception, I have average there. So it says a low score is related to dyspraxia, but I don't have a low score on that one. Communication. So Aspie communication, average there. So I don't have anything direct, but a high score is related to stimming and unusual communication. Even though I have, obviously it's showing I'm on the spectrum, I've always been a good communicator, and I don't do a lot of stimming. I dance, but I don't do a lot of weird tics, although I do some, but not a lot of them. And then, below average on the neurotypical communication, which low score is related to autism spectrum conditions. And I mean, it gives you all of these details and really breaks down everything. Relationships, Aspie, above average. So a high score is related to attachment disorders. This doesn't surprise me. This is actually improving because I spent most of my life dealing with past traumas that I've just started to learn how to do. And then another test that I took, actually it was an assessment, a psychological assessment, and it shows that I have secure attachment, whereas I used to be very avoidant. So that's improving, and I'm happy about that. Neurotypical relationships, 6.2 out of 10, average. Low scores related to intimacy problems. I don't have that, so I'm fortunate in that area. Social, Aspie social. I have 4.8 out of 10, so average, so nothing. I can still socialize, oddly enough, even though social situations, maybe because I've been masking my entire life. Neurotypical social, now 3.5 out of 10, it says that's average. So again, I can get by in social situations. The last one I took was the empathy quotient, because there's a misconception that people on the autism spectrum disorder lack empathy. And so I went ahead and took this test. Again, it's just for your, regular, I say regular, adult of average intelligence or above. And let me scroll to the results. Scoring. So scoring is 0 out of 80. Threshold score. So if you have a 30 or lower, that puts you on the side that you're challenged with empathy. So as you can see, 81% of people previously designated Asperger's syndrome score 30 or lower. Most non-autistic males and females score 42 or 47. I am actually atypical on this one. 56 out of 80 is exceptionally high. I have a very, very high amount of empathy, maybe too much in life, which has kind of screwed me over, but I've learned to value myself. So anyway, these are my results. Now I get to dive more into it. Thanks for checking it out.